I would like to ask everyone to take their seats. I'll ask us to be ready as we get started. Welcome back to those who just came from the walk, and welcome to those who just got here. Thank you for joining us for this important day and moment of remembrance. I would like to go ahead and ask our host, Pastor Claude, to step forward and give us an opening prayer before we start the program today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can we all stand up? We're going to pray and leave everything in the hands of God. We thank you very much for coming. This is a very important event for the community as we remember. And we're just going to pray. Let's pray. Lord Almighty, we thank you for this wonderful afternoon. We thank you for the community of DMV that has taken this important initiative to remember 29 years. Lord, we thank you, Father. We know that the pain is still there. We know, Father, that in this season, there's a lot of trauma also. And we pray, Father, that you're just going to be the one who continue to heal. Hallelujah. We declare healing in the name of Jesus, Lord. Holy Spirit, we welcome you in this place. Mend the heart of each and every person who's here, Lord. We know that only you can bring that healing. And Father, we surrender this wonderful afternoon in your hands, Lord, as we remember. Hallelujah. Father, we pray that it's going to be really directed by you. Holy Spirit, you are welcome in this place. You are welcome in this place. Father, we pray that everything will go according to you. Let everything really go peacefully, orderly, in good organization. We thank you, Father. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Claude, and I will all be seated. Next in our program, I'm about to receive the president of the Rwanda community in the DMV area, Ms. Rca-Dmv. She will be giving us our opening remarks. Before she comes forward, I would like to once again welcome everybody. Introduce myself. My name is Ian, and I will be your MC for today. We'll be going through the program, so we'll tell you every step of the way, but I would like us to keep in mind, be mindful of the fact that we're here in a moment of remembrance, in a moment of commemoration. Let us hope that our phones are silenced, our hearts are united in one, and that our thoughts are in this program. We'll ask everybody to maintain silence and peace as we reflect and as we think about this event, and as we remember those who lost their lives in the genocide against the Tutsi that was perpetrated in Rwanda in 1994. So I'd like to go ahead and welcome Ms. Kathy for her remarks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Anyway, good afternoon, fellow Rwandans, friends of Rwanda, embassy and community representatives, all protocols observed. On behalf of the Rwandan community in the Washington, D.C. area, it's with great honor and solemnity that I welcome you all to today's commemoration of the 29th commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi. This day is a reminder of the darkest chapter in our country's history, a time when hatred and absolute evil engulfed our motherland and led to the loss of over 1 million innocent lives. As we gather today, let us remember the victims of this heinous act and pay tribute to their memory. Let us all honor the survivors who have shown remarkable resilience and strength in rebuilding their lives, communities, and our country. Remember, Unite, Renew is a call for actions for all of us to come together and work towards a better future. We must remember the past and learn from it. Unite as a community, specifically Rwandans and Friends of Rwanda, to prevent such atrocities from happening again and renew our commitment to rebuilding a more unified, peaceful, and inclusive society. We choose to remember so that Rwanda's history is not diluted by genocide deniers to a point where the horrendous event and dark period in Rwanda is forgotten. Today, let us reaffirm our commitment to fighting against all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and hate. Let us work towards a future where every individual is valued, respected, and protected, regardless of their ethnicity. In conclusion, I would like to thank you all for being here today and for all your unwavering support in commemorating this day. Let us honor the memory of those who perished in the genocide against the Tutsi by working towards a brighter future for ourselves and for the future generation. Murakoze.
Thank you. As we go on with the program, we're about to take a moment for us to reflect in a moment of silence as we think about the victims of the genocide, as we think about the resilience of the survivors, and as we think about our commitment to the sentence, never again, which we do not say in words only, but we mean in spirit and in heart, that we should not see what happened in Rwanda, we shouldn't see the genocide that happened in Rwanda happen anywhere else in the world, no again in our country. So I'll ask us to stand, to rise up, as we get ready to take this moment to reflect. And after we have observed a moment of silence, I will ask Minister Jane to step forward with the children that will lead us in the candle lighting activity, and they will be sharing some of the messages they prepared. So I'd like us to take a moment of silence as we reflect.
Thank you so much. This is a memorable time, but we have words to remember. And we are going to begin with all these children have a word to tell you what it means this moment. I will start with number one.
21 years after the genocide against Tutsi, we stand with the living God whose release is
We're not alone. Today, about the family and loved ones. There's one family living together with one.
As we remember the victims of the 1994 genocide against Tutsi, let us strive to build a country that is free from all kinds of discrimination and genocide ideology. Let us also renew our commitment to learning what really took place and share the lessons learned with our friends and global community. As we remember our loved ones and cherish their memories, we light candles of hope for our future and cherish a special place in our hearts that will always be reserved for the ones we lost. By remembering, let us be united by love and strive to create a better world for us and the ones we love.
Okay.
We shall always keep in mind that each of us in this large and small has our role to play preventing and fighting against the genocide ideology within our society and the global community.
Icyumba Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi bidutera imbaraga zo gukorana no kurwanya ingengabitekerezo ya Jenoside. Rwanda bayoboye shira umwete abana bawe gukomera ibikomere no gukubura icyizere.
Our generation pledges never to repeat the dark days past. We have seen our elders rebuilding our country from ash. Born in the aftermath, we pledge to carry the torch, to never make the same mistakes, and to never let our hearts rebeat. Nothing will ever shake us again, and together we surrender. When seeing what Rwanda has become 28 years after the genocide, how can one not feel motivated to act and contribute to its development? We, the youth, vow to actively defend our unity and participate in creating a better future for our people and the country. We grow up in a peaceful country with no fear of being hunted for whatsoever reason. We should not and will not take that for granted. On the contrary, we are filled with the desire of fostering unity in our respective communities. We remember not only the tragic deaths of more than 1 million Tutsis, but also the vibrant lives as doctors and artists, scientists and authors, teachers and students, parents and children, husbands and wives. We remember the example of thousands of righteous persons who risked their own lives so that others might live. Your sacrifices are the reason why we exist today. Your patriotism is the engine we'll use to develop our country. Filled with kind and gentle spirit, let us wage the good and noble fight against genocide ideology wherever we are seen. It's up to us to make sure that the world never witnesses another genocide anywhere in this world. We remember our past because we know that those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And remembering teaches us how resilient human beings are and how powerful we are if we all stand together for something we believe in.
Dear Rwanda, we as your children vow to heal your wounds through unity, reconciliation, and hope. We promise you a bright, inclusive, prosperous, and safe future. 29 years from now, after the nation and genocide against the Tutsi, Rwanda, you are becoming the first of the world that messages stronger than ours will be united. The ability to overcome united.
Remembering is about learning from our history, forgiving and moving forward as a united nation to pave the way for a better future for us and the future generations.
machetes, bad politics, hate, anger, ethnicity, all those bad tools that were used in the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi are now replaced with peace, progress, innovation, development, and patriotism. For all Rwandans to do not stay with sorrow, let's use these tools to honor our loved ones by making Rwanda a better country than they would have been.
Harder battles have been fought and tougher lessons have been taught. We cannot afford to be careless with our history and the sacrifices made to be where we are. We have to carry the light of the beautiful souls we have lost.
100 days of tears, 100 days of fear and bloodshed. Rwanda suffered a lot. It lost brilliant people and it was in darkness. But we no longer have to return to that. Let's keep the light of hope by not only forgetting what happened to our loved ones, but instead keeping unity, patriotism, and courage for a better Rwanda, better lives, and a boosted development. As a result of the circumstances caused by the genocide against the Tutsis in 1994, we are all young and old, committed to serving our country with the aim of leading it to a sustainable development, driven by a shared inspiration of living in a united, reconciled, and hopeful Rwanda.
We commemorate the genocide against the Tutsis every day within our hearts and in all that we do. By doing that, we are ensuring to always be faithful to the choice we made of being united as a people.
29 years from now, Rwanda will just an elected country known for brevity, hatred, differences, and most of all enemies. But now, as I look at where we are now, I'm proud to be called Rwanda. A country free of hatred, ethnicity, and selfish ambitions, but instead a country full of love, unity, and people with big dreams. That's a country one will be proud of, Rwanda.
We salute all men and women who risked their lives to save others during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Your love and courage in the face of hatred inspire us to always put first the humanity we share. Your bravery should be our legacy, your sacrifice our pride. Let it not be in vain, rather be the foundation of love and unity for future generations.
We join together at this time of the year to commemorate for the 28th time the genocide against Tutsi in 1994. We come together to remember the innocent people we lost and vow to fulfill the dreams they never got to realize. We shall never forget the importance of speaking out against intolerance and divisionism whenever it has occurred. Those who so dearly believed in unity and peace were willing to risk their own lives.
Amongst the pain and tragedy, there is still hope, there is still faith, and there is still love. Our prayers will continue to be with those who have survived and continue to live through and with.
We got down, lost faith, lost courage, and got neglected by the whole world. It has been 29 years now that we have regained our courage, which helped us to build up a better Rwanda and give an example to the whole world. No more ethnicity, no more discrimination. We are all Rwanda, united forever.
Natwe urubyiruko rwavuze mu jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi, amateka y'igihugu cyacu ni ayacu bwite kandi adutera umwete wo gukorera igihugu cyacu tutizigama. Duharanire gusigasira ibyagezweho, twubake u Rwanda rw'amahoro twifuza.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. We may all be seated. hanze. Muri make mu byo bavuze ko nubwo nabo ari abana nubwo bavutse nyuma ya jenoside ko biyemeje kuzaharanira gusigasira ibyagezweho, ko bigira ku butwari n'urukundo rwaranze abahagaritse jenoside, kandi ko badahwema kwibuka no gutekereza kuri jenoside yakorewe abatutsi mu 1994 mu Rwanda, ndetse no kwiyemeza ko nta handi bizongera kuba byaba mu Rwanda cyangwa n'ahandi hose ku isi. Barakoze cyane rero, tugiye kwinjira mu wundi mwanya w'ingenzi kandi ukomeye. Tugiye kwakira umubyeyi muri twe uri buduhe ubuhamya bwe, urugendo rwe mu gihe cya jenoside, kandi ndasaba ngo even the children, as our survivor is going to give her testimony, as she's going to share the journey that she lived and walked through during the 1994 genocide, we ask that you all pay attention, listen to her story. This is our story as Rwanda. It's not any single person. It's the story of our parents, our grandparents, and ourselves as well. We are the ones to continue with the banner and hold the flag high, because as you say, if you don't know where you came from, you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes. So I'd like to take time and welcome Pastor Fifi Chantal Gabire. She's a pastor in East Wind Christian Outreach Church in Richmond, Virginia. She's married and is blessed with 2 wonderful children, and she's a survivor of the genocide against the Tutsi of 1994 in Rwanda. Pastor Fifi, the time is yours.
I would like to thank the community in the DMV area for giving me the opportunity to share my story and my testimony. I have never shared this story before. I have always refused to share because I felt like it was taking me back when I'm trying to move forward. But nevertheless, I think it is our responsibility to share what happened so people understand the gravity of this and determined to fight against the genocide ideology. Even though the genocide is officially said to have started in 1994, but my story starts way back. It started way before 1994. I'm from a family whereby when we were in primary school, we were not allowed to go to high school because there was a test that we used to do, and if you are Tutsi, you will not get a chance to go to the public school. Therefore, most of my siblings, they went to Congo where my grandfather was, and my grandfather left in 1962. He left atrocities in Rwanda and he ran to Congo. So part of my family was in Congo studying in Goma. My sisters went to Lycée, and because my grandfather was in Congo, and but when it reached to us, to me, I was the 4th. My father and my mom realized that they cannot continue sending the children to the parents because it was becoming too much. But when I finished high school, I was not given a chance to go to, primary school, I was not given a chance to go to a public high school. But luckily there was a school that was founded by Tutsi in Rwanda called Apako, and it is the one that I attended. Then in 1993, I had just graduated from high school, and I had slept at the hospital taking care of my cousin who had just the surgery. It was in the month of October. And in the morning, her mom came to replace me, so I went home to Nyamirambo where I stayed with my siblings. On my way now in the bus, we reached at a place called Bityobo, and many of you may know. And we found the Hutu militia in the street, and they were wearing uniform. They had sticks and machete and whistles, so they stopped the bus that I was in. And there was a commotion. We didn't know what has happened, and they entered in the bus and they said, show us all your identification. So it was a custom for all of us every time people come, soldiers or in Interahamwe ask for ID, you had to show it, so we show it. And I remember checking my ID and they say, today is the day that we are going to kill Tutsi. It was in 1993, in the month of October, precisely. And they started beating me, they slapped me. The next thing I knew, I was grounded, I was dragged to the ground. And what they were saying was, we are killing all the Tutsi because of President Dadaye, who was assassinated. And many of you may not know, but many of you may know, President Dadaye was assassinated in Burundi. It was not in Rwanda. But because the Interahamwe believed that Dadaye was a Hutu, therefore some Tutsi had to suffer in Rwanda as well. So they beat me, and there were other two guys who also were Tutsi, and they took them on the other side, and they really beat me severely. And what humiliated me was that they ripped actually my skirt. So you can imagine on the floor, your skirt is ripped. You are literally naked, and people see you on the ground like that. And after that, I think the driver gave one of the leaders of that group, he gave him money and he begged for my sake. He said, please, I know her family, don't let her don't do this to her. So they let me, then the taxi driver and the co-driver, we used to have people, they call them convoyeurs, so they used to receive money at the door. So those two lifted me from the street, from the ground. They put me back in the bus, and then the driver said, I will take you to a place, allow me to go and drop everyone at their stop, and then you will tell me where you live. So he continued, and then there were a lot of commotion in Bijogo, and then he dropped everyone to the stop up to the stadium in Nyamirambo, and then he returned. He asked me where I live, I indicated where I live, and then he took me to my house. When I got home, everybody was shocked. I had no idea how I looked until I saw myself in the mirror. I was swollen, my face was like this. And they took me to the hospital. I was hospitalized for 2 days. And then after that, I recovered, so I went back home. We tried everything for us to go to Congo because we used to go there all the time. So, but at that time, they were not giving the same passage, so it was too late. My sister had just came from Kisangani to come and see us. She could not even go back. So it was tough. And we stayed there. So let me first apologize because my story is so long and very full of twists and is complex. I don't even think that I can share the whole story for the time that I have today. But I will try my best to summarize. Now, fast forward to 1994. At that time, we 6 siblings staying together. My elder sister was married, so we're staying with her. And all my younger siblings were attending a purport. And I remember it was during the Easter break. So on a Good Friday, we received a call from our uncle who was in Bugesera, my uncle, my father's brother. His family was staying in Bugesera. Long time ago, they moved people from different regions, from northern part, and they take them to Bugesera where they believe that they were supposed to die there. So all the Tutsi from Byumba and Ruhengeri, they were taken to Bugesera long time ago. I don't even know where it happened. But anyway, my grandmother on my father's side and his siblings and his sister, they were in Bugesera, except 2 who had run away in 1962 who were living in Uganda. So our family was scattered everywhere. And then he called us, he said, please come and spend Easter with us. And we said, it's okay, we'll come. So Saturday, me and my 2 siblings, the one who was after me and the last one who was 8 years old. So we went to Bugesera. My other sister and the one who was hosting us and my 2 brothers, they said, no, we have a program, we cannot go. So me and my 2 sisters went to Bugesera to my uncle. Reaching there Saturday, and we had lunch, After that, I remember that there was a program that I was supposed to attend in Kigali. So I told my uncle and his wife, I have to go back. I was supposed to stay there for the whole Easter break. But something reminded me that there was a program that I was supposed to attend. And he asked me, what is the program? And at that day, on Easter Day, there was a conference that was taking place in Sende. Many of you know what Sende is. And I insisted. He said, okay, if you are coming back, then on Monday, it's okay, go. So, but he said, let your siblings stay so they can play with their cousins. They're on the break. Then go, you come back on Monday. So I left them without knowing that that was the last day I was going to see them. So I went back to Kigali on Sunday, on the Easter Sunday. We all went, me and my sisters, we all went to Sunday. There was a conference. We left around 8 p.m. So Monday, I was supposed to go back to Bugesera, but something told me not to go. I kept on postponing it, and I said, I'll go Tuesday. Tuesday, I didn't go. Wednesday, I said, okay, I will go on Thursday. And Wednesday at night, that's when the plane was shut. After that, we could not make movement again, as we all know. And we were scared. We knew what was coming. If I was beaten, you know, so much for a president of Burundi, so you can imagine what will happen to you if the president of Rwanda is now, you know, that he's dead. So we heard on the national radio that the president is dead. And Rca-Dmv started announcing all kinds of things, calling all the Hutus to stand and to start doing the work, which is to eliminate the enemy. And the enemy was the Tutsi. So that week, it was crucial because Interahamwe started coming to our area. We lived in an area where someone called Karamira was staying, and he was a very well-known Interahamwe who was in the Hutu power movement. So most of the meetings were taking place in his house. So we started seeing people coming, and our houseboy here told us that there are meetings that are taking place in Karamira's house, and they are mentioning all the names in the neighborhood of Tutsi. So he said, please be careful. And then that particular week, they Interahamwe came, they beat us. They pulled, I had braids, and they pulled braids, and because you know how braids are so, tied to the hair, and as they were pulling, it was coming off with the hair. So I had rings in my head everywhere, and it was tough. Then before the end of that week, there was also a neighbor who became Interahamwe. He was a young boy, probably in his 20s. Then he came to our house with the group of Interahamwe. So he was determined to come and kill us. He put us on the ground. He started beating us. And then one of the group said, we're not going to finish you today. Killing you, it's a favor. We're going to torture you. So then every time they came, they had whistles. They started blowing the whistle. They would shout as if they have found. It's like they were hunting, as if they had found something. They were rejoicing. And then the mother of Timam heard the noise in our house. She came running, and when she came, she realized that it was her son who was trying to organize the killing in my house. They searched, they took everything from the house, and the mother told Timam, I said, Timam, please don't do this. My sister has been actually taking care of Timam's mom. They were really poor. And every time my sister would do grocery, he would cut in half and he would send sugar, rice, beans to Timam's mom. And Timam's mom, she came, she cried, and then Timam said, I have no choice because I have a list of all the people that I'm supposed to kill. So on the list, there were us, there were another guy called Bosco, and there were also the God Wamuni, he was in our area. And so many people in our area were Tutsi. And another guy called Safui. So they had the list of people who were living in the neighborhood, And he said, I have to kill them. And the mother, you won't believe it, the mother said, I'm going to remove my clothes. If you see my nakedness, then you will die. If you touch them, I'm going to remove my clothes. So it's up to you to choose seeing my nakedness or go ahead and kill them. And the son said, no, it's okay, I'm not going to touch them. So that's how we survived that week. Following week, it was again tough. Then because we were on the main road, most of the time they were coming to our house. And here comes a group of soldiers now, and in Interahamwe, and these soldiers, usually they will come to finish, to see those who have been tortured, and then they will come just to, to shoot them. And then we're all there. We pretty much knew that there was no way to escape. We were just waiting to die. And then there was this one, I think he was part of police. And then he came, he said, okay, give me your ID again. So we gave the ID, and he looked at us, he said, are you from Garama? Because my father was a medical doctor in Garama Hospital. I said, were you really born in Garama? He said, yes. So are you really the children of General? And we said, yes. He said, you don't know this, I've killed many people. For your information, I just killed Bosco, who was our neighbor. I just killed Degol Rwanda, I just killed all the people. But for you, I'm going to make an exception. And we're like, what's going on? He said, when I was in the battlefield, he said, he was shot. When he was shot, he was transported to the hospital of Ngarama. And that place, that's where my father treated him. And he said, he said that I was going to die if it wasn't for that man, even though I know he's Tutsi, but for that fact that he saved my life, I'm going to save his children. And that, realized that we are not dying after all, that we still have breath. He said, the only thing I can do, I will come every other day just to check on you, because if I stay long, other groups will come and will finish you. So he instructed our houseboy that whoever will come, they should mention that those people are his relative, therefore nobody should touch us. So that week we survived. Then the next week, in fact, he even brought us food at some point. Then the next week, the following week, sorry, he came, he said, I'm being deployed now to go somewhere, I can no longer protect you. So you are one. And he said something to us, he said, you are too many, you are together, you have to scatter. Maybe one of you will survive. You cannot stay in one place like this. And then he left. So there was a neighbor of us who were very close to us. Her name is Mama Jimmy. She lived with her siblings and her children and her husband. And these people were from Changugu originally, but they were also mixed. But because they lived down low, I don't know if you know this place, some of you know, we lived in a place called Mugitwa, and down there was Guamhara. So at the place where we live, we're on the main road, but if you go down on the walkway, then you can reach her house. The car could not reach her house. So most of the people who were there, they were not reached the first or the second week. And then she came and she told us, please come to my house, because we are not on the main street. Somehow, no Interahamwe has reached to us, and besides, we will have identification of Hutus, so we are still okay, even though our mom is Tutsi. We can still hide ourselves under the ID. So we all went. Imagine now, all of us there. Then the wife of Bosco, who was shot, her name is Zayana, and then she came, she had a 2-week baby. We were all in Mama Jimmy's house. And Interahamwe found out that we are no longer in our house, but we moved. They have a way they were knowing what's going on. And then they started coming to hunt us there every time they would come to search. And Mama Jimmy gave everything she had in the house. Please don't touch anyone. Take everything. They took mattress, they took TV, they took everything. And then, we're still there. Meanwhile, my 2 brothers, my younger brothers, they told us that they heard that the RPF has reached Rebero. And where we lived, you could go down, 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 and there was a valley and a river, and then if you could cross, you would climb and then go to Rebero. So they came, they told us, you know, we cannot stay all of us with Mama Jimmy. We are causing her, you know, problems. Us, we're going to find a way to go. If we survive, then feed. You to find a way because we cannot stay in this house. So my younger brother, they left. And we didn't know at that time if they made it or not. And then we really were desperate. Meanwhile, we were hungry too, you know. We could not go to buy food, we could not go to do anything. Even the family that was hosting us, they were also at risk because they looked Tutsi, even though they had identification of Hutu. So, and they were not also moving, you know, from the house. So we stayed with them. It was desperate. If you don't die with the machete, you're going to die with the hunger. So we didn't know what to do. And my elder sister, the one who just came, who had just, you know, 93, who came from Kisangani, where she was doing medical school, and she had this small New Testament, you know, the Catholic small New Testament, and wherever she goes, whether she's hiding, you know, she was carrying that, and I used to laugh at her, and I said, what is that going to do for you? If really God exists, then he's a Hutu God, or he's a God of Hutu, so I don't know why you are still praying. At the end of the day, we're going to die anyway. So for me, I'm not going to bother carrying that because it makes no sense. So I was far from God. And I was very rebellious against God. I was far from God, and I was like, if God really exists, he will not allow this to happen. So I'm not going to pray to a Hutu God. I'm not going to ask a Hutu God, because this God is a Hutu God. So anyway, then something happened again. Meanwhile, the fight in Kigali, you know, we could hear, you know, fight between Kigali and, you know, from rebel, you know, we could hear, you know, a lot of noise. And then there's a guy who was dating the siblings of Mama Jimmy. And this guy was bald. This guy grew up in Congo. His parents ran away in 1962. But he came back to Rwanda. At that time, many people were actually returning from Burundi and Congo because when UN came to Rwanda, people started believing that somehow things are moving in the right direction. And so he said, he managed to come and reach where we were, and he said they are evacuating Congolese. So please find all of your carte pour citoyen, you remember the green? So the ID, and said, since you people used to go to Congo and you come back, find all your ID, Congolese ID, then I'll find a way to take you so you can be evacuated among the Congolese. So Yvonne could not find her card. Lily could not find her card. I could not find her card, you know. So we were like, there is nothing we can do. But then Yvonne went back, tried to go back to the house, and she found her own. And she came, she said, look, this your Congolese ID, it has this name. Your name is Yvonne Murungise Rubibi. There is no way. They know these names are for Rwandans who are in Congo. It doesn't work. So he said, nevertheless, in Biryogo, people were born, people were doing things. He said, let me take it, I will see what I can do. And when we were thinking what to do, then okay, so Yvonne said, I'm not leaving, I give my card to Lily. Because Lily has children. Let Lily take this card, and if maybe she can survive with her children, that's fine. Then what is going to happen to Fifi? And that's me. And then God does a miracle. Mama Jimmy finds an identification of her sister who has been living in Burundi, and she left it just in the drawer. And that ID is a Hutu ID. So Weke, this man who is bald, I was telling you about, his name is Weke. Weke now said, let me take this ID, let me take the Congolese ID, and this Hutu ID, I will see what I can do. So he went, he took my identification, the Rwandan ID, he removed my photo, he put it in that of the siblings of Mama Jimmy's ID. So now I'm no longer Chantal Ngabire, I am Roseman Raguha. I became the sibling of Mama Jimmy. And then he said, I'm going to come back tomorrow after I know the final plans on how they're evacuating Congolese. And he said, you people, because you're from Changugu, it's okay, you can also go with the Congolese since you are, you come from the border. So he went, and I remember everyone find the money that you have, whatever you gave him, because we gave him so he can go and find a way to falsify the documents. And then he went. So the guy who was doing the documents in Ibikobo, he told him, for the Congolese one, her picture is too revealing. She cannot survive. But we're going to find another photo of someone who looks like Congolese, and we attach it to her photo, and it's going to be her husband. And they deleted the name. They used to write in those Congolese ID with black marker. So they write with another black marker, and they write now, her name is Okako Sifa. And he came with Interamwe. He said, I gave all my money to the Interamwe. The Interamwe had all the sticks or the machete, and they accompanied him. So every time they would reach the roadblocks, the Interamwe would say, don't worry about this guy. He's our own. We're going to take care of him. So they let him go. So he came, he got all of us, and they took us to Bigobo from close to Guamara. They took us passing through the roadblocks, and the Interahamwe would come, the one who started beating us, and those other Interahamwe, they would say, no, this is our deal. Don't worry, we'll take care of it. So anyway, we reached Bigobo. We found all the Congolese people who were staying there, and they put us in a truck, in a big truck. But then we started suffocating because the truck it's a truck that used to carry goods. So they said, no, they have to cut the top, the top of the truck. So we stayed there 3 days waiting for the truck to be ready. And then after that, so we went first in the truck. We left Kigali. From Kigali to Butare, it took us 5 days. Because every time we reached the roadblocks, the Hutu militia, they would come, they would start searching, they would come, they would see you. They say, oh, you don't look Hutu. They will look at your leg, they will remove the skirt to see how you look. They would just, it was horrible. And, but nevertheless, we would just say, okay, we are from Changugu. And my sister in the truck, she doesn't speak in Rwanda, she's speaking Lingala and Swahili. So she said, I don't know what you're she understood one is, but she had to act up like she doesn't understand. So they would say, I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. So who are you? I'm from Congo. My husband was here on mission. You see him in the ID, and he's now in Europe for mission. Therefore, I have to go back to Congo. He instructed me to go and take the children to Congo. So they were beat, and then after they get convinced because she was not communicating. It was full of drama and full of hopeless situations. Then we went, reaching Butare. At that time in Butare, they had not started killing. The truck had a problem, so we stayed at the prefecture of Butare, at the, what do you call it in English? I don't know, at the province of Butare, at the office. We stayed there, so the guy tried to fix the truck for 3 days. At night, the people will come just to start searching again to see if they are not among, they are not Tutsi. And they will verify the ID. And I remember the speech of Cindy Kubaho that said they should kill people in Butare. We were in Butare exactly at that place. And then the driver said, we better run from this place. Because the driver knew that among the people there were definitely Tutsi, but he was okay. He was a good person. And we went, every time he would see like a creek near the road, he would stop, we'd go drink water. Then from Butare to Changugu, it took us another 5 days. Meanwhile, in the truck, the Congolese had a lot of dry cassava. What I love about them, I guess, from that time on, is that they respect food, which we didn't. As one is. And I don't think I would have ever eaten a dry cassava before if it was not that situation. We started eating that dry cassava, all of us Congolese, and they shared with us. It was the dry cassava that the water on the street, every time, the driver, we see a creek, he will stop. We were especially in the Nyungwe, because in the Nyungwe we didn't see any interaction or roadblocks. The whole Nyungwe was clean. But before Nyungwe, there were so many roadblocks. And then entering now Changugu after Nyungwe, that's where the problem was for me. Because we reached there was a big roadblocks, there were bodies everywhere. And they stopped the truck, and then when we came down, I realized that there was someone from my home country, and he was wearing uniform. And he said, "Fifi, what are you doing here?" And I said, "It is over now for me." Because I realized that I recognize him, and he knows me very well. He's from a place called Gituza, but he used to come to the hospital in Ghana, so he knew me, and I knew him. But I had something telling me, don't accept, deny, because if you don't, you're going to cause your sister a problem, you're going to cause the whole family of Mama Jimmy problems. Because they were with us also, they were running with us. They gave me the ID, and I just said, my name is not Fifi. He said, what? He said, your name is not what? Even your gap, I can see it. I know your voice. How can you say you are not Fifi? I said, I'm not Fifi. Meanwhile, Lily in the truck, as she's getting ready to come down she started shaking because she's realizing what is happening. And but somehow I received the boldness that I don't know where it came from. I said, I'm not the one, I'm not the person you're talking to. He said, these Nyanzi, they have reached another level. How can you deny? I know you. You know me. How can you say you're not? You know what? Just take my ID and see. I don't know. Who is Fifi? I said, Fifi is the doctor of General, not like the doctor at the hospital of Ngarama. I said, the only general I know is the one who just died, unfortunately, in the plane, but I don't know any other general. He said, no. It's impossible. You are the one. I know you. Even your voice I can recognize. And he put me aside. He said, sit there. So he continued searching other people, looking, verifying their ID. He finished, everybody went back to the truck, and I stayed there. He said, you're not leaving until you tell me the truth. I said, I told you the truth. So if you think I'm lying, go in the truck, ask someone called Mama Jimmy. She's my elder sister. See our ID. I am the younger sister. You see that we have the same parents. So he went, he said, who is Mama Jimmy? Mama Jimmy came. So you know this lady? Yes, I know her. Is your sister? I said, she's my sister. Are you sure? I said, yes, she's my sister. Where are you from? We are from Changugu. I said, okay. Took out the ID. I said, you are Roseman Rabwa, really? I said, yeah, my name is Roseman Rabwa. Then he said, okay, go back to the truck. I said, I know actually you are telling the truth. There's no way Fifi will reach this place. I'm sure they have finished them long time ago. If she was the one, I was going to do the work anyway. So went back to the truck, and we reached the border. Reaching the border now, the soldier said, all the Congolese on this side, all the Rwandans from Kamembe on this side. I had to go to the side of the people from Kamembe with the family that saved me, that gave me ID. So now my sister Liliane and the children, they crossed, go to Congo because she had the carte d'époussit when she had the Congolese ID. She looked at me, I looked at her, looking at her going, and me saying it was very hard, but that was the way. So we went, and Mama Jimmy and Alphonsine, they had a brother who was working in a Red Cross in Changugu, and they sent a message that we are in Changugu. So Alphonse came, find us a place to stay in where we were staying. We stayed in It's one small house, we were like 10 in that, house. Then we stayed there, we didn't know what to do, we were like, we're gonna stay here until maybe God opens the door, or maybe we die, and then the family of Mama Jini, who were in Changugu, they found out that they came to Changugu, they started coming to visit. So now the problem is, they're going to find out that this is not our sister, they know us. So every time they come, I will go and I will stay under the bed. It was one bedroom, and Alphonse gave it to Mama Jini because she was the eldest. So I would go and hide under. They would come, they would talk, then they would go. Every time was like that. Then I started realizing that I'm going to cause again these family problems. But I didn't know what to do. Meanwhile, Lily got to Bukavu, and she tried everything. She called our family in Goma. She said, I just left Fifi in Kamembe. There's nothing we can do. They started putting money together, see if they can find at least a Congolese. They will give money, then see if he can come to get me in Kamembe and take me to Congo. But it was impossible. All the Congolese people they tried to use, they reach at the border, the Rwandan authority will not allow them to come. So we stayed there up to the beginning of the month, up to the first week of June. And then Alphonse suddenly has an accident. He has an accident, he broke his leg, and the people who were working with him said, we have to take you to Bukavu Hospital. And Alphonse immediately, he said, this is the only way to take Fifi out of this place. And he was, near Rusizi, and then he tells his boss, who was white, he said, look, I cannot go to the hospital without my sister. I know I'm bleeding, I know you're saying that is urgent, I need to go, but my sister has to go with me because I'm not going to the hospital without someone who's going to care for me. And then they sent a motorbike taxi to come and get me. So the taximan came and said, look, there is a man called Alphonse, he sent me to this place. He told me to get the sister called Rose, and he just had a terrible accident, and he wants Rose to be able to care for her in Bukavu. And he quickly told me, so Jack, climb the motorbike. So I climbed the motorbike. There were 6 roadblocks from where we were in Kamembe to Rusizi where Alphonse was, because Alphonse refused to go without carrying his sister, without me. So every time we reach the roadblocks, I would just show the ID like this. I said, look, my brother just had an accident. Please let me go, please let me. The only thing they were looking was just a tribe. Once they see the Hutu is, there's nothing that is crossed, it's just, they will let me go. Say, okay, go. That's how we start. We passed the first, the second, and the fifth, the sixth roadblocks. And we get to Alphonse. Alphonse said, get in quickly. So I entered in the car. Those Jeep Red Cross. So that's how I left Rwanda. I crossed, and I was with Alphonse at the hospital because I had to really care for him, and until also the family were able to cross. And Weke, the guy who helped us, who changed the papers and everything, he too, he crossed. I tell you, he was bold. He was very bold, and I cannot understand where he got the strength, but there are some people, I guess, God gives them gift in a situation like that. When I look back and I see what he did, I don't even know how he did it, but, he was really bold. And we crossed. Eventually, we decided to go to Bujumbura, and then in Bujumbura, my friend Tijara, I don't know, many of you know, she's in the community. She had managed to go to Nairobi. She called us and she told us that she heard that our sister Yvonne, the one who stayed in Kigali, someone saw her and she's treating the soldiers in Kabuga. So we were like, because she was already in medical school, so she was almost actually done. And we said, are you sure? Because someone else has told us that Yvonne was killed. So she said, yes, we were told. Someone told me in Nairobi that they saw Yvonne, because from Kabuga, people could go up to Uganda, up to Kenya, so they were carrying news. And then we knew that Yvonne survived. And then, right after July, when the genocide against the Tutsi was over, then we returned to Rwanda. When we got to Rwanda, then we went straight to Bugesera to see, and we realized that all, my father's family, my 2 siblings were killed right there at Nyamata's church. And someone actually survived then. He gave us details on how they killed them. And for our youngest, who was 8 years old, apparently they threw a grenade at her. So, and for Mami, the one who was after me, she was really tortured because the Interang apparently wanted to rape her, but she resisted. And she resisted to the point they started using machetes, cutting her, to the point then, she died. And my uncle was in and all my father's siblings were also killed there at the church. So this testimony has so many events that I cannot share because each day had its own struggle and atrocity. But I try to summarize it, and I want to thank really the RPF, because later on we came to find out that those 2 brothers of mine, they managed to reach the Rebero. And they used to come also with soldiers to show them the house of Tutsi in Nyamirambo so they can rescue them. So I want to thank them for rescuing not only my brother and my sister, but also to rescuing everyone who survived and to stop the genocide. I can't imagine how it would have been if it wasn't the RPF that came and took over. I can't imagine going through what we went through, and then after that it would be different from what we have now. I can't imagine that. But I thank God so much for what they've done. I want to thank God so much because I didn't know him, but he gave me a chance. I didn't die for knowing him. And it's not because of anything that I've done, but it's simply his mercies. His unfailing mercies, and I understood now. And that's why I took the call of him when he came to me and he made himself known to me. I couldn't resist taking his call because I understood that I was left to make known his mercies, his unfailing mercies. To all Rwandans and all the survivors, there is a word of God that I want to share with you. It is in Isaiah chapter 37, verse 31. And the word of God says, and the surviving remnant of the house of Judah shall again take root downward and bear fruit upward. Though this word was spoken over Israel, so this word is for us too. We shall take root again, and we are doing so downward, and we shall bear fruit upward. So the whole mankind will know the unfailing mercies of the living God. May God bless Rwanda, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Fifi. As we say, it's not easy to share such stories, right? For the children who may not know, I want to make a small point. Pastor Fifi mentioned that the journey from Butare to Tsangu took them about 5 days. In order for you to understand the difficulties that were part of that journey, I want to tell you that that's usually a journey that will take about 2.5 hours. Driving from Mutare to Changu is anywhere between 2.5 and 3 hours. But it was impossible to travel it in that period. 5 days meant you have to move at a slow pace in order to survive. So when we speak of the genocide against the Tutsi that was perpetrated in Rwanda in 1994, we're talking about 100 days of darkness, of pain, of hopelessness. But 100 days between April and July that have also managed to make us the country that we are today. A country that has hope, that lights a light that the world sees. When you lit the candles you lit today, it's not just an action, it's not just an image you're showing the world, but it's also a testament to the fact that out of that darkness came a nation that can light for the world. Pastor Fifi just ended with a message where she said, the remnants of the house of Judah will root downward and bear fruits upwards. You are the fruits that they speak of. Out of that death, out of that pain, out of darkness, you have been born as fruits in this world. And so it is important that we share these stories, it is important that we share these journeys in order for you to understand what your stories are, where you come from, and what responsibility you have to keep the memory alive and to make sure it never happens again. Murakoze cyane rero, mbere yuko dukomeza n'izindi gahunda, kugira ngo nsabe Tracy Sulinyana atari intambwe, hari umuvugo yifuje nawe kubasangiza ku bijyanye no kwibuka n'icyo bivuze kuri we. Hanyuma nasoza hari documentary yateguwe, filime igiye kwerekanwa y'iminota 13 nitwibutsa uru rugendo, nitubwira amateka ya Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi mu 1994. Turasaba ngo abana bashobora kuyikurikirana, bakuru bakomeze bayikurikirane. It's not easy images to see, it's not easy stories to hear, but it's important for our survival and our sustainability and continuity as a country. Thank you.
Hi, I wrote this poem hearing the experiences and the different impacts that was caused by the genocide. So this is called The Rwanda Rains. I remember the rains that day, a shower of hate that won't go away. The day 7 of the year, 94, when pain suddenly opened the door, and nothing was ever going to be the same anymore. With machetes, guns, they marched, aiming for our limbs to be detached. Sworn they did not, and Yenzi, I would escape their grasp. They swore that all would experience their wrath. The genocide against Tutsis was called by the truth not told. The rain struck, hard smell of rotting flesh, cries from a distance, heard by ignored. No one would even dare talk or whisper. The cockroaches was the message from the speaker. It was the rainy seasons, the beginning of the massacre and killings. Women and children were alienated from their land. Refugees in camps away from their land. The African Holocaust had begun in Rwanda. It took a while for the world to ponder. The ones who had the power to stop it kept quiet. They gave neither reason nor excuse for their silence. They waited until we all lost our patience. It was the rains in Rwanda, the day of mourning. It was the season to prepare for farming. But I can bet the world saw it coming, but none gave a crap from the beginning. And so began the killing. Brothers and sisters turned into enemies. Neighbors turned into strangers. Mutilation, humiliation, torture. Tribal hatred fueled by West. When will Africa come to rest? And understand that we are one race, one love, one place, and one earth. Let's have love and peace in Rwanda.
magambo make umuvugo we yavugaga ku mvura y'ukwezi kwa Mata 1994, avuga ku byabaye, avuga ko bari bafite ubushobozi bwo kubihagarika batabikoze, kandi ngo bitabaye bibatunguye kuko babibonaga biza. Ariko akomeza kuvuga ku cyizere cy'u Rwanda rwakuze rugashibukamo amashami yeze imbuto nk'uko twakomeje kubivuga. So tugiye gufata uyu mwanya rero, bagiye kwerekana iyi film documentaire, umwanya wo gukomeza gutekereza no kwibuka. And I'll ask as well, like I said, for the older children who are able to keep track and keep watching the documentary. Be warned that it's not necessarily an easy sight, but please keep paying attention as it needs to be. Thank you.
batuma ku ntera hamwe batatubaruke gusa uzi yuko ari ingenzi mu gihugu imbunda zikomeje kuba umusirikare gusa kugira ngo abantu benshi bavuga ngo jenoside umujinya w'abantu bagize kubera indege ubu basubiye inyuma yabona yuko bidafite n'ishingiro kubera yuko hari n'ibindi bintu byinshi byari byarakozwe mbere yayo nk'ibitekerezo bipfobya ibitekerezo birenganya bisinagaza ibyo yandika nyine ntabwo ari impamvu ni indwara ushaka kugeza bapfuye mu bihugu bigaye ku isi barabareka iyo ujya mu mpamvu nari byinshi ariko ntibigeze haba jenoside abanyarwanda bajya gucikamo ibice icya mbere ni politiki y'imiyoborere abakoloni ababiligi bashakaga gushaka abakozi bo kubakorera akazi bidasabye yuko bashyiramo amafaranga menshi bagombaga rero gufata igice kimwe kigakora akazi abandi bagenda babikoresha hanyuma rero igihe cy'ubukoloni busa nk'aho buragira ngo kubera ababiligi babonaga inyungu kuri kongo kandi bakumva kuzagera bazajya baca mu rwanda bahuye muri abatutsi bazaga uri kugaragaza neza cyangwa bakubita nabo batagakoresheje ntabwo bazakwemera ko u rwanda turukoresha kumwe kugira ngo badukorera yo kwishakira niyo mpamvu bazafata ya makosa yose bakoze bijyanye n'ubutegetsi bwabo bakatereka ku mitwe y'abatutsi bagatangira kwigisha abavuga ngo batume abatutsi babonye ko ari babi
mu gihe cyo kujya ku bwigenge ubutegetsi bwarahawe abavugaga ngo ni abahutu batsikamiye bagomba kwigaranzura abatutsi abahutu ni ikivuga ni parti pour l'émancipation des Hutus ariko kugira ngo abari mu Rwanda ruhabwe ubwigenge hakabaho kwigaranzura kw'abahutu u Rwanda twabaye nk'abaturage ahantu
uruhare rwa parimuhutu mu gucamo ibice abanyarwanda unashatse watangira kururebera mu madisikuru perezida wa repubulika yakundaga kuvuga u Rwanda rwahawe ubwigenge yavuze ijambo rirerire ariko mu kurisoza aravuga ngo ndarangiza ijambo ryanjye mbwira igice kimwe cy'abanyarwanda bitwa abatutsi izina umututsi ibimenyetso no gutungwa n'isi y'abandi handitsemo icyanditse mu moko yose wowe gukomeza kureba agatwe k'ubwibeshye n'uburyarya n'ubwira bidafite aho bishingiye ni perezida kayibanda yafite kuri abitwaga abanyurabana iyo yaririmbaga turatsinze ganye turatsinze amarapakayitora pariti zose zikorera hanyuma twaje icyo gishyirwa cy'abanyarwanda bose cyangwa igihugu kandi u Rwanda yabonye bene yo gaho tuganza nama abanyarwanda batangiye kwitwa 1963 hapfuye abatutsi bari mu 1950 mu gihugu hose bakubwira ko Nyabarongo est devenue la charrie des cadavres nuko ngo Nyabarongo yabaye nk'akamoteri gafite imirambo wibaca mu bufundu kuri Gikongoro haba ubwicanyi bukabije ndetse n'itangazamakuru mpuzamahanga byatangiye kuvuga ko ce sont des actes de génocide
muri sosiyete nyarwanda no kwibaza kimwe ushobora kuyiva nko kwica umututsi bihinduka nk'atari icyaha umututsi watwikiwe inzu yiciwe cyangwa watangiye gutemwa yavuga neza ko yavuga ngo yacitse
muri 1973 rero kayibanda ubutegetsi bwe bwari mu marembera y'Imana yari no kurangira igisiga kitakimwumva amahanga atakimwumva igisubizo yagishakiye mu kwirukana abatutsi mu gihugu kuri 2023 z'ukwezi kwa kabiri mu Rwanda haba igizwe mu tutsi ndira
bari mu bitayizuriyeho hazagira Imana nimwe n'amahoro nimwe wese twari kugiye kubera iringaniza ibyahehe bongera ko riringaniza ahubwo yakoze ivangura
cyane Imana itagirana n'isuku yo kureshya abantu agafata umuco araswe gukwe umuco babyara abantu ko mwashyingirana n'abashaka iki abantu bakagira ngo ni iby'ukuri bimuri mu ndani y'umutima nabo barashaka kuganya abaturage ngo bose amukunde tutazi ko azategura we irushije leta Habyarimana yakomeje gukora mu rugo gutuma abanyarwanda bicaye mbere na mbere mu mashuri amateka yigishwaga yabaye amateka yigisha amacakubiri ko abatutsi baturutse muri Ethiopia abahutu bagaturuka muri Chad.
Icyo gihe ni ukuvuga ko twebwe abaturage bagombye gukora tugomba kwikorera izo ngegera tukazitsemba.
Kumenya ndetse muri Ethiopia bacyafite n'ugerereza mu magereza. Dukwiye kuririmba amahoro n'amajyambere ubangira no kubyara inzara ariko kuri ya jenoside yageze nk'umuriro w'umunyotwe woroshye n'ivu kuko mu bayobozi hejuru byaravugaga yuko hagize ikiba abatutsi bakwicwa.
habaga raporo de la rentrée scolaire, raporo ya buri gihe bakamenya abakozi umubare wabo w'abatutsi n'uw'abahutu, bakamenya n'abatwara babashyiraga bari performance, bakamenya abana.
Kumenya ko Tutsi ari mwari mutubwiye wowe akana kuba muri abatutsi ndetse uzajya kaso ko ukuntu kigenda gihese umugongo ni mwebwe aho umuryango w'akadegera uwo mwana hatera icyo gitubuza amahoro yaza umusagiye kugasoma inyite cyangwa bari dusanzwe dusangira impamba dutangira kumuheza agezeho atwibuzemo inshuro arenga atanu.
Inkotanyi zarateye kugira ngo hano kuwa mbere niba bibuka neza itariki ya mbere y'ukwa 10 n'ijoro ry'uwa mbona umujyi wose ikirere cyabaye umutuku nyine amasasu acana noneho baracyari ku itariki ya 5 batangira kugenda bafata abantu bitaga mu gishyitso cy'inyenzi.
Inkotanyi zimaze gutera ubundi ko bagombaga gushaka izindi ntwaro habayeho gushakisha intwaro basaba abantu baririmbaga n'abandi bose barahamagaza bati n'umunyarwanda nahimbe indirimbo yo gufasha yo guhangana n'umwanzi. Birakomeza kugeza kuri imwe tubatsembatsembe imwe tubaganire kuva indirimbo yo kwica ngo tubatsembatsembe ikwira ikava ibyungu ikajya icyangu igataha ikibuga ikaba igataha igisenyi ibyaguye icyo bivuze.
Inkotanyi zitumara gutera propagande mediatike yo kuri radiyo y'igihugu yari ihari ati Nyarwanda imvuragasani banzi b'igihugu ibyo byarabaho.
Kuriya amategeko 10 y'abahutu twashobora kubikangura ntabwo yasomwe n'abantu benshi uraje kumenyekana mu banyarwanda kuko radiyo Rwanda itari yaba RTL mu bitema na gatatu radiyo Rwanda yagiye ibicishaho ikabisobanura
itangazamakuru bisa naho byari gatoya guhera amashyaka bose wabuye bakubwira RTL yari yaje ishaka kuvuga icyo radiyo ya leta itavuga.
Kuva RTL bateri nawe yatomye ku kamonyi mu gitondo ibyo nta wakuza
ndibuka yagiye gukora yashanje kugurana porogaramu n'abantu bo kuri Muhabura icyo gihe bari baramaze gusinya rusha uwitwa Kantano cyangwa we yashyizeho indirimbo ivuga ngo turaje tuje tugiwa atangira kuvuga ngo waraje nyine ngo n'ibizungerezi byabo ubwo tukazibura mwiteguye ibitanda byanyu mubiveho wamuteteri nabo mutera amashyushyu ndabyibuka neza rwose ku kiganiro nawe ndumva indirimbo nziza arayishe ibintu byiza baririmbaga tuje tujya iwacu arabihinduye bibi ku buryo bari babyumvise bari kumukunda arabyanze kubera iki ya propagande azi ukuntu ari bubikore bya bintu byose ibyari amata agasukamo amasazi.
hari ikintu gikomeye cyakoreshejwe nubwo kidasanzwe mu banyarwanda n'ibishushanyo karikatire byakoreshejwe cyane muri kangura kuko zashushanyaga ibintu by'urukozasoni ariko bifite ya mesaje. Reka wenda mvuge nta n'ishusho imwe muri 1993 hari ishusho rero ubonaho inkotanyi n'umukuru wa icyo gihe paul kagame bavuga ngo inkotanyi tubatashye noneho wari yashushanyije njya kure ugasanga umuhanda bagendaho ntabwo ari umuhanda ni za serikeri bo baravugaga ngo igihe cy'ingenzi zizasanga
mu kwezi kwa mbere icyenda na gatatu bagusura avuga ngo bagiye gutegura imperuka kinirira bigogwe ku kibuye mu bugesera abatutsi barishwe barasengerwa ntabwo indege yari yaguye.
umunsi wo kuwa gatanu rero ni umunsi mubi twagize mu yindi yose kuko haje imbunda zidasanzwe, haza abantu badasanzwe baba bafite imbwa, bafite umuriro, bafite n'umuriro. Twabonaga ibyo bintu tukareba nta muntu ugezeho, bamwe bananirwa no kugenda bicara hasi barazamata, abantu barabica, umusozi wose uhinduka imirambo, imigezi yose yahindutse amaraso. Batemwe icyo gihe umuntu wese yarokotse uwo munsi yarokotse azi yuko ari we wenyine warokotse.
baza bati pawa utupawa utunsi wize byisoni uracuje yazane umututiyahure pawa ibikombe by'umusozi biti pawa yaziga ukandira ngo n'umusize kora
akarabyo mu mutwe n'intara y'ukuntu akarabyo n'ukuntu y'amazi akarabyo mu mutwe n'ukuntu y'utere ukuboko n'umufasha gutanga.
twasohotse mu kiliziya batera indirimbo ivuga ngo twaremewe kuzajya mu ijuru. mama yarayiririmbye kandi yari umukozi yasubiragamo, abantu barasohoka, noneho bamaze gushira mu kiliziya abantu bose babandagaza ngo mu mbuga, hanyuma hakurikiraho ikintu cyo kuvuga ngo abagore bicara abagabo ikintu cyitwa umuhungu, umugabo umuhungu, umwana w'uruhinja w'umuhungu bagashyira ukwabo nibo batangiye kwica.
bakaba bamwica bamuciyemo kabiri bakavuga ngo reka bareba ko atava amaraso ava amata kuko bari bazi ko urwacu baramata bamuciyemo kabiri bamujugunya muri uriya mugezi wa Nyabarongo.
baba bafite ubugome udashobora kumva, bafite ubugome ku buryo ntabwo kwica byari bibahagije, bongeragaho ikintu cyo kubabaza umuntu kugira ngo apfe nabi. buriya jenoside ifite ukuntu iteye, navuga ngo nabi no kuyihakana bikaza muri uwo murongo. buriya harimo impamvu ebyiri zibitera, imwe niyo ngiye kugira intungane, kugira innocent, kugira inzirakarengane, ariko harimo n'indi yo kuvuga ngo uwo mwana wanjye uzakura atazavuga ko nari umugome, ko nari ntabwo wategura ikintu ngo gikorerwa gikora ureba ubu wagize uburyo ngo gicyaba barabizi.
Thank you.
Roofers are furious about this new product. It's going viral. Replace your whole roof in as little as 8 hours. And right now, we're looking for homeowners to experience this futuristic roofing product. Click below and enter your zip code to see if you qualify.
So as we move on with the rest of the program, I would like to remind everyone that as we are in a commemoration event, we do not clap because it's not, we are not celebrating. We are reflecting, we are thinking, we are united in a moment of thought, a moment of reflection, a moment of remembering what happened. And especially again for our young ones, part of what was said in the video is that when we speak of the genocide, despite the fact that it happened in 1994, it did not come out of nowhere. It was prepared. A lot of the stories you've heard in the video, even the testimony that was shared, tell you that this was a plan that started as early as 1959. And as we speak about the independence that Rwanda got in 1962, the documentary reminded us that it was not independence for everyone. It was not for all Rwandans. it was for a select group of Rwandans because the rest of the population was not recognized as citizens of the country. And so it is important that as you hear these stories, one of the biggest questions you'll have to ask is, what is your role? It is true that the genocide ended in July 1994, but there is another part that needs to be played as we keep moving forward, as we rebuild the country and sustain what happened. And part of that is continuing to fight against the genocide ideology, but also making sure that you do not sit back and give time and space to those who deny what you have seen with your eyes, what you have heard with your ears, what you know is true because you've heard it and you've watched such documentaries. So it is important that as we discuss the importance of the radio and the media during the execution and the preparation of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, in this day and age, the use and the power of the radio may not make sense to you, but we live in a day and age of social media. You see and hear a lot of things that are spoken left and right. You are the spokesperson of the country. You are those who are tasked with keeping the flame lit and the memory of those we lost in 1994. So it is important as we move in this section that's following that we think about how do you as young people learn of the story of your country, of your families, but also how do you stand up and play a role in making sure never again is not just in words, but in action as well. So muri aka kanya rero tugiye kwakira iyindi gahunda tugiyemo, tugiye kujya mu kiganiro kigufi twateguye kiri bugirwe n'umubyeyi aganira n'abana be. Impamvu twasabye ko iyi gahunda ibaho nuko twakomeje kubivuga mu byo duharanira twibuka, nuko n'urubyiruko n'abana bato batozwa bakamenya ukuri kw'amateka y'igihugu cyacu kugira ngo bazabone icyo bazakoresha bahagarara bahangara ikinyoma aho cyaturuka hose. Imwe muri izo nzira rero ni ukuba hajya dushishikariza imiryango n'ababyeyi kuganira n'abana bakababwiza ukuri k'ubuzima bwabo, kw'imiryango yabo, ndetse by'umwihariko n'igihugu. Baba bari muri Amerika cyangwa ahandi hose ku isi bakazamenya ukuri bagomba guhagarara nako no gukomeza kuvuga. Tuzajya musaba amaga hasi Sigo atera intambwe n'abahungu be bagiye gufata iminota mike baraganira. Abana hari ibibazo bateguye bifuza kubaza umubyeyi wabo. Ibi ngibi biratubera nk'ishusho n'ikimenyetso cy'ibyo dukwiriye kwimakaza mu miryango yacu hagati y'ababyeyi n'abana. So reka tubahe umwanya ariko bateguye kubikora, hanyuma turakomeza n'izindi gahunda nyuma yaho. Thank you.
Akenshi ntabwo bumva, ntabwo bavuga ikinyarwanda cyane, ntabwo mwabyumva bavuze ikinyarwanda. Uwaba ashaka gusobanura ariko bivuye ko mwese muvuga icyongereza mutabyumvise umuntu yagusobanurira. So guys, you are free to ask. Whoever starts is okay. Ask whatever you want to ask about the genocide today.
So everyone, good evening. My name is Akim Manzi. I'm here with my brothers and my mom and Grace. This is Manzi and Ziza. And so today we're just going to have kind of a casual conversation on the genocide, because I see this as more of a bridge between two generations. Because she has more of a personal perspective of it. Me and my brothers, we've also done slight readings on it, trying to get more on the history and have more introspective, like see how it really was, but we kind of want to ask more casual questions so that everybody here that may have been there or was not there, especially for like the kids, they could see how citizens of Rwanda actually felt during that time. So I guess we could start off by saying, like, where were you when it was going on?
Yeah, that's a good question. That question asking me where I was during the genocide, I never took it deep, but that's a very big question. Where was I? I was in a country called Uganda, but I never thought, why was I in Uganda? Why was I in Uganda? My parents, I would say my dad was in Uganda maybe for work related, but how was I in Uganda? Not during genocide. Guess why I was in Uganda? I was in Uganda, that's your answer. But I was in Uganda because of the first genocide. My mom went to Uganda in the early 60s, maybe 1960, 61, because of genocide that was happening then. So she told us they had to run away. They used to beat them. If you know somebody in Uganda, run away. So I was in Uganda because of the genocide, what happened in 1994, but in 1960s. So that's how it happened. So that's the earlier genocide. Yes.
So the other day as we were reading about the history of Rwanda, we can see that a while ago, especially in the 1920s, far before the colonization, Rwanda was described as like a really peaceful country, and everybody was like under Rwanda, and they even considered the country as like their mother. But then later on, as we see, I think it was later in the 50s when the colonization was big. That's when you see many of the deception of the ideologies and the ethnicities. So my question would be, do you think the colonization played a big part in what later happened?
Definitely. I would say so. Please, if I'm wrong, feel free to answer that. They did a big part. Because before colonization, Munyarwanda, Rwanda was a man of every Munyarwanda. My mom was from like a side of leaders or kings or something like that. But when she ran away during that earlier genocide, she had people, you wouldn't tell whether they were Tutsi or Hutu or anything. Some of them decided to run away with her. It was, she tells me that thing was a surprise to them. They say they used to be like a family. They never knew who is who. Like if you are a leader, a guy at home, a leader, you have to take care of your kids and the people behind you working for you and whoever it is. But I think colonization contributed a lot, and that was kind of a way of dividing people, telling them they don't belong or they don't look like the same. There's a time she told me that they used to say that if you have this, it's a problem. If you have a different nose, it is a problem. So they started to know there was a difference coming because of colonization. Yeah. Any questions, Ethan? No yet? Think about it. Yeah.
I guess based on what you were going on, the differences between, Hutu and Tutsi, I was seeing, colonization was definitely, I think, had a big part on it. They came and they had a lot of Catholic preachers as well that were bringing their teachings and having the generals be baptized and things like that. This was based on what I was reading. And so one of the biggest things that came to me was there was this one book called, it's in French, so I probably will butcher it, but the Manifeste des Hutu. And it was basically just giving every reason why the Hutu was better than Tutsi and how the Tutsi was stopping them from developing into something. thankfully we don't have any version like that. Probably 100 times scaled down from that on Twitter, but I mean, we don't have anything like that anyway. But that was definitely something that would bring a lot of conflict between the two tribes. So I guess one thing I would ask you is, from before the genocide, growing up, what was the relationship between Tutsi and Hutu? So before the genocide, then the genocide, obviously, but then afterwards, how would you remember that
Yeah,
relationship?
from my understanding, of course, I was born in Uganda, and we didn't have many Rwandese around to say that Hutu, Tutsi, or anything. But my mom said before genocide, before 1960s, the relationship was amazing, amazing. Because like the kings, the queens, they didn't care who is taking care of what, of the animals in the farm, who is home, who is everybody. It was the rulers, like the king was taking care of everybody, like sons and daughters of the country. The Rwanda was a mother of Banyarwanda and Banyarwanda Kazi, which is women. So the relationship was amazing. But then after the division, colony became, and they started dividing them and showing them the Hutu, the Tutsi, and that's when they started, teaching them how to hate each other, the division among us, and hoping that it will never come in. As you guys, you may know, that was ignorance. The colonization used it to divide us. Otherwise, it wasn't there. Yeah.
I had a question. How was life in Uganda as Rwanda as it was going on?
Yeah, that's a good question. Though in Uganda, I grew up like Mporo, where there were farms and stuff. So the life was good with the Ugandans and the Rwandans. But as they changed government, there was a guy who came called Oziro Obote. They started saying, you Banyarwanda, you are Banyarwanda, you are Banyarwanda, run away. But Ugandans, as were greedy. They started, if you have stuff, beating you up to run away, so they take them until we waited. But it wasn't genocide, as in Rwanda. They would try by all means to break your windows, to hit, to steal you so you can run. They really didn't know genocide like in Rwanda. So the relationship wasn't good. It depended who changes, who comes and who goes. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Thank you so much. That's a very good question. Because as everyone knows, even in the different countries, for example, like you asked a question about Uganda, if you're Rwandan, you're also marginalized. As much as some areas things were okay, but it was not an easy life as well. For example, like what your mom just explained to you in 1982, actually Rwandans who were in Bororo were actually sent out of Bororo. And they actually had to go back to Rwanda, and as Tutsis, they had to live in camps. So, that's just something to add of what your mother said. It wasn't easy as well, and even the people who lived in Rwanda, and even Burundi, Congo, Kenya, some of them even lived in camps. So life wasn't that easy as well. That's why even like our President and Excellency, President Paul Kagame, had to join the army in Uganda, had to go through the hard process in order for RPF to liberate Rwanda.
Thank you, Lisa. Any more questions?
Yeah, so not only in Rwanda, but when you look around the whole world, usually when people are from a country, they're really proud of where they're from, proud of the language and the culture. And we see that even today in Rwanda and far before the colonization. And so, as you're saying, they considered Rwanda their mother, and they were so close, like a big family. Even when we go now, it's such a peaceful country, and people are so nice and unified. So my question would be, leading up to the genocide, what do you think was the main thing that caused the division? So even if someone, like a foreign country, was to come and colonize, I would expect one of these people to be so unified already. So what was the main thing about it?
I think the main thing, as we said before, it was colonization. Colonization, before colonization, there was no such a province. The Rwandese were Rwandese. The Rwandese were neighbors. The Rwandese were the kids of Rwanda. But colonization was a problem. And I would say the genocide happened because of ignorance of some other Rwandese who accepted that to happen, and Tutsi were, faced genocide because of, it's like having a brother, and he accepts an outsider to come and kill all the citizens. I don't know what they were getting, but it's because of colonization, I think. Yes.
I'm really proud of you guys of the questions that you're asking. They're very, very good questions, and I hope that our children, I hope that the rest of the children are really listening and paying attention. You see in life, like now today, especially social media, right? When something is repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated, you end up believing it, right? So hate was, our differences were constantly portrayed, right? Constantly, to the level where people actually started believing that we were different, And it really, for Rwanda's case, it's actually frustrating because it is the one country in the world, one of the one countries in the world who speaks exactly the same language. Like Uganda has so many languages, all the other neighboring countries have different languages, but Rwanda has one language. So it's unfathomable. You can't imagine how that it culminated to such periods, because it's not like you say, like there was, 1959, 1962, then the worst, which was 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. So it was just, like your mother said, colonization, but the propaganda constantly, that made, people started actually believing in the lies. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and just to go off that, I mean, that's big. Colonization was definitely a big thing. We read that there was there was politics that was going on, and the conquistadors and Belgians, the French, and all those other ones, they had their own motives that they had when they were going into the country, and they obviously had to go more in deep and act as if they really knew what was best for the country. So then they ended up having them be baptized in general. So the ones that did not want to be part of whatever their motives were sought out to be killed, and they wanted to get it their best way. So it took about 3 or 4 years, and that's how we got, the plane to get shot down in Burundi and stuff like that. But then, yeah, so that's it was a long string of how they wanted to get their point across. But that's the one we saw about that. Yeah, I saw somebody. Yeah.
So this gentleman asked a question: why the genocide happened to the extent it happened? There is another reason. Genocide happened in steps. There is a step in a genocide called dehumanization. You take a human, you transform it in an insect or any other animal. So that, as Ekati said, the more you hear this person is an insect, you take it, they repeat it for a long time until you no longer see a human as a human, you see it as a serpent. Whenever you kill it, you don't feel you are killing it. And that also was...
Yes,
Hi, I would like to piggyback on what everybody said. Another factor that contributed to the genocide of '94 is the culture of impunity. So killings of Tutsi started in 1959, and 1962, 73, and then 94. And nobody was ever punished for killing a Tutsi. So those people who were killing Tutsi, they, of course, like everybody said, Tutsi were dehumanized and they were seen as cockroaches, etc. And if the father who killed in 1959 had a son, he saw that his father was not punished, there was no punishment, so it was allowed to kill Tutsis. And that is how Umar killed in 1959, 62, and then his son joined him to kill in 1973 because that was accepted until 94. So father, grandfather, son, grandson, so they were allowed to do killings because they were saying that it was cleaning up. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question, guys. And it's time to go, but one thing that if I never forget, genocide happened. And actually they followed it to call it a war or fight against each other. Never forget. It was genocide against Tutsi, and that's why we are here. It's good we grow and find out how we can never forget it, but protect it to never ever happen again. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mama Grace, and your sons as well, for a powerful discussion. These are not easy conversations to have, but these are necessary. And one of the most important things that they concluded with that you need to remember is that, again, like we say, none of this happens out of the blue. You have multiple steps, you have the combination of different things. There is the role of colonization, as we say, there's the role of bad leadership and people who have intentions. You know, while some in the masses may not understand these intentions, when you have leaders who are intentionally driving people astray, then that is also an important thing to remember. There is a dehumanization aspect, when people are no longer humans, but they become animals, they become less than, and it becomes normal and normalized to kill somebody because they are no longer human, right? And they spoke of the culture of impunity. Now we add another stage to that we talked about again earlier, is when you start talking about denying genocide. When you start killing people twice, 3 times over, because you no longer accept the realities of the atrocities that people have lived. When you start saying there was no genocide, or you start saying there were multiple genocides, or you start saying it wasn't genocide, it was that. When you talk about the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994, it is not a matter that we debate. It is fact. It is real, it is tangible. It is the lives of the many people that are within this room and all over the world. So that is why it is important for us as young people, as the next generation over, as those who are going to become the parents of Rwanda in years to come, to understand that the truth is the truth, no matter who says it, no matter where you are, and no matter what the situation is. The truth cannot change. And that is how you play a role as young people in making sure that none of this was in vain. Okay? So that's why it's important to have this intergenerational discussions and dialogues, so that tomorrow when you meet somebody who has disguised a lie as a truth, you know how to discern it. You know how to differentiate what is true and what sounds like it's true. Because the reality is that in this day and age, people will not tell you the lie as it is. They will try to play around the truth and turn it into something else. So it's important that you can know what is true and differentiate it from what might sound like the truth. And not give any opportunity to somebody who speaks less than the truth to ever speak on your behalf, because you're there to speak for yourself, for those who are not here anymore, and for those who are not yet to be born. You are the Rwanda. Okay? So that's why we did this. We want you to go home, keep reflecting on the conversation that happened here. Ask these questions of your parents. It's not easy for them to answer and to share. Sometimes it's personal, it's painful, but sometimes it's also difficult to find the right words to say it. No man in this world can ever find the right words to describe what happened in those 100 days. But they will try to answer, because it is important for you to hold the truth as a shield that protects you. Okay? So keep these conversations going. Parents, as you go home, you have a powerful challenge ahead of you. But it is important not to dismiss their questions, but to rather give them opportunities to ask them. And when it's difficult for you to find the answers, reach out to somebody who might be able to help. It's better to give an answer you're sure is the truth than to stumble and try and say, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. I think Kathy can attest to this. And I think Mr. Emmanuel as well, who's about to step forward and give us his remarks, can say this. The community, the Rwandan community, the Rwandan embassy in DC, the KWIBUKA community are here as a resource, as a community, to support parents in better understanding how to have this conversation with their children. So reach out, don't keep it to yourself. It is better to answer their questions when they're asking you, as opposed to them having to Google or ask somebody else, because what is out there is a mix of everything. So I would like to ask Mr. Emmanuel, the president of KWIBUKA, the DC chapter, to come forward and give us his remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Allow me to share my remarks today. It is not easy to speak after all of these good speeches, but I'm going to try. Allow me to thank the Rwandan community of DMV and Rca-Dmv for organizing this very important day of KWIBUKA29. Allow me also to thank the leadership of this place, Cross Point Abundant Grace, for hosting us. We are truly blessed to be in this place. I take this moment to appreciate all of you for your presence and your support for this commemoration. I take this opportunity also to recognize the amazing conversation that came to happen between parents and children. It was very powerful. It's my honor and privilege for me to have this moment to share my remarks with you. I would like briefly to start by explaining what KWIBUKA is, for those who don't know it. KWIBUKA means remember in our mother tongue, Kinyarwanda. KWIBUKA Association is a non-profit created by survivors in Rwanda on the 14th of November 1995, which currently has branches in different countries, including USA. KWIBUKA has different regional units across US. For instance, we have in our region, Rca-Dmv unit, among many others. At this point, I would like to show you the committee of Rca-Dmv. I'm here as president with Vice President Bernadette Dennis. You can We are here with Secretary Pastor Ingabire Fifi, who shared her testimony today. The main purpose for IBUKA was to preserve the memory, to honor the victims of genocide, and to restore their dignity. It was also to assist and advocate for survivors of the genocide. Survivors, ladies and gentlemen, today again, we are gathered here to remember and honor the victims of 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. 29 years ago, our loved country, Rwanda, plunged into genocide in which over 1 million of innocent Tutsi were hacked to death. The most horrendous death and crime against Tutsi were committed in plain sight. Everybody was watching on evening and morning news. It was broadcast live on TV screens and radio stations. The whole world was watching victims hopelessly and helplessly tortured and killed. The genocide against the Tutsi, orchestrated by a regime that was supposed to protect and defend them. Today, it's a time for all of us to remember and honor the lives of our loved ones. They were humans like you and I. They were the good fathers, the beautiful and good moms. They were incomparable brothers and sisters. They were wonderful aunties and awesome uncles. They were friendly and fine cousins that we used to laugh and play together. We remember the cutest babies smashed on walls or chopped into pieces. Nice. There were nice toddlers and teenagers. That was the hope and future of our motherland, Rwanda. We also remember and pay tribute to all those who were killed in the previous years. They did nothing to deserve this, simply because they were born Tutsi. We commemorate to honor the victims and preserve their memories. To preserve the memory of victims is not only moral or legal responsibility of survivors and owners alone, but it's a responsibility of all humans as a citizen of the world. We commemorate to ensure that the victim's life cut short by perpetrators do not go in vain. We commemorate to tell the perpetrators and the whole world that victims of the genocide against Tutsi did not deserve to die. They had every right to live, to love, to enjoy freely given by God. They deserve equal opportunities and protection under the law. They will not be or second-class citizens. They were not insects, serpents, cockroaches, or any other animal to be slaughtered anyhow. We commemorate to do not forget our history. because those who do not remember their past are condemned to repeat it. And we have never again. Fellow Rwandans, friends of Rwanda, genocide against the Tutsi did not commence only in 1994. This heinous plans spanned years before. Many of the victims were not even. It was systematically planned, successfully implemented from 1959, 63, 73, 90, and the boiling point culmination of this process only commenced in April 1994. April 1994, in other words, was a year, an acceleration of genocide in the making, the beginning of 100-long dark days, in which a premeditated plan to exterminate and eliminate Tutsis from cities, towns, villages, and hills of Rwanda was swiftly executed. So make no mistake, genocide was not an act. It was not a surprise or accident, or due to a plane crash of ex-president, like many genocide deniers do want you to believe in. Now, genocide perpetrators and a conspirator have all, and we always try to cover up the truth. As you know, the denial is the last stage of genocide. They intentionally concoct conspiracy theories to erase the memory, to conceal crimes they committed, to evade justice. They are intentional in creating confusions in the world and in the mind of their sympathizers, to continue instilling the hate and to perpetuate genocide ideology. As we heard in the testimonies, they were intentional in digging deep pits in which they killed hundreds, sometimes thousands of victims, and covered them up to conceal evidence. This is what they are trying to repeat, to return their version of Rwanda, an united Rwanda, to all the bases of the TNC. Ladies and gentlemen, 29 years after, as we speak, as we remember, remains of victims are still being discovered throughout the country. Most genocide convicts serving prison sentences have stuck to their plan. They purposefully refuse to reveal locations where they buried the victims, so they could be given dignified burial and for their loved ones to have closure. Genocide deniers have found a new safe haven on internet-based platforms, on YouTube, blogs, Twitters, and they continue to propel heads, genocide ideology and conspiracy theories with an intent to erase the memory. The truth about 1994 against the Tutsi. It's our collective responsibility as survivors, Rwandans, and global citizens to draw the line, to fight harder, not with guns, but with the truth about what happened to victims, about what conspirators to preserve the memory. It is high time never can become a reality. Let us tell our story, our true story that the world gets to hear from us loud and clear. I'm calling upon Rwandans, especially the youth, to pick up the mantle, stand firm on the shoulder of those who paved the way, those who stopped the genocide against the Tutsi. We thank God for the Savior for sparing the lives of survivors. We thank the archives and they are continuing to fight the good fight, and they did a lot to survive us. As the years goes by, our stories may be lost or forgotten. Let us write the books, make documentaries. Let's be a vocal, spread facts, educate the world about genocide against the Tutsi. That's how we can participate and contribute to the building of our loved Rwanda. That's how we can make a difference. That's how we can keep the memory and do justice to our history. As we remember for the 29th time genocide against the Tutsi, I cannot fathom that some perpetrators, masterminds, are still roaming freely in the capitals of the world. Those criminals have no place in society. They should be in prison. We are calling the international community and Interpol to speed up searching the genocide perpetrators to bring them to justice. Because justice delayed is justice denied. We call the UN and international community to ratify denial of genocide against the Tutsi, a punishable offense. The UN is indebted to making sure all perpetrators are held to account. We are calling the United Nations and international community for the immediate intervention to stopping the genocide of the Tutsi in east of DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. Let our never again be real and in action. In concluding my remarks, I want to call all who wish to join KWIBUKA29. You are welcome. And we need you. We have a lot to do. So we cannot do it alone. We need your support, we need your strength to be able to move forward. I want to remind us that genocide deniers walk around the year. We should not only remember in April to July and wait for the next year. We must be intentional. We must proactively stay course. We must stay on offense. We are only as strong as we are united. I thank you all for your kind attention, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Daimana. We're moving to another moment. Just welcomed Rukundo Xavier, who's going to be sharing his message through a song, and then after he's done, the children will join him in one more chorus as a reminder, we're reminding you that this is a moment of reflection and commemoration. We do not clap because it's not a celebration.
usiga wenyine ariko ndagusabye umva humura uraba intwari maze nawe ujye uyitsindisha ineza haranira kubaho ejo hazaza ni heza wari muto none urakuze uraba intwari batishe ishavu n'agahinda ntibiguherane mwana w'u Rwanda ahubwo komera ukomeze n'abandi wimakaze ubupfura n'urukundo mu bantu mu gitondo cya kare wisanze wenyine nta n'uwo gutakira urarira ukihoza ukatuza umutima nyagasani rebera abana bawe twizeye neza ko tuzongera tukabonana haranira kubaho ejo hazaza ni heza yo wari muto none urakuze uraba intwari batije ishavu n'agahinda ntibiguherane mwana w'u Rwanda wari muto none urakuze uraba intwari bati ishavu n'agahinda ntibiguherane mwana w'u Rwanda ahubwo komera ukomeze n'abandi wimakaze ubupfura n'urukundo mu bantu never 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 again let us keep alive the memories of genocide. We say never, 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 never again. Genocide against humanity. Never, never. Can you sing with me? We say never, 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 never again. Let us keep alive, let us keep alive the memories of genocide. Can you say never, 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 never again? Oh, genocide again, genocide against Genocide, genocide against humanity. Never, 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 never again.
Thank you, Kondo. Represent Abana, you can sit. So in this moment, thank you. In this moment, I would like to go ahead and welcome the Honorable Charles Nageuka, the second Chancellor of the Rwandan Embassy, to give us his remark as a representative of the embassy, the ambassador in the country. Thank you.
Kandi mwiriwe ukwaga muri gufasha Nageuka second counselor ni chancellor umujyanama wa kabiri kuri uyu munsi nishimiye kuba turi kumwe kandi twagize umwanya mwiza wo kwiga. Buri gihe iyo duhuye ku munsi nk'uyu nguyu twiga byinshi, ariko icyanshimishije ni uko dutegura abana bacu, turabategura neza kugira ngo amateka atazasigara inyuma, kandi tukabigisha uburyo agomba kuba. Muri aka kanya rero nyemerere tureshe ururimi rw'amahanga rwo dufitemo meseji y'uyu munsi. Ushobora kuza ku undi mwanya wenda wo kuvuga dukoresheje n'ururimi rwacu, ariko nyemerere kugira ngo abaje kwifatanya natwe batumva Ikinyarwanda babashe gukurikira. Dear the President of Rwandan Community in Dmv, KWIBUKA29, who is also the Vice President of Rwandan Community at the national level, dear friends, colleagues from the Embassy of Rwanda, dear the entire members of the community who are present here, all friends of Rwanda who came to join us today. Good afternoon, Changamiro. Dear survivors of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, KWIBUKA US members who might be present here, our fellow compatriots, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm most grateful for the comfort message of KWIBUKA29 from all the presenters. A strong message and troubled journey of our sister, Pastor Chantal David, for her testimony, which is full of pain and frustration. This is why we really need to remember. It's very crucial and very imperative. Above and beyond, our gratitude goes more deeply to the educating message and discussions and the key message shared by the parents and sons, which was about the root cause of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, and the key message around here. It was the cause is the poor governance, the poor leadership of former government led by the so-called President Rca-Dmv. The poor governance was built on a systematic discrimination, divisions in all categories of social classes. We lost the social connection, the social fabric, and social network of the community. This was at all levels, in government institutions, in schools, from the primary school to the universities, the intellectual people, students and professors, doctors and other professionals. This discrimination was even Catholic and Evangelical churches in all categories of belief. The situation was marked by the lead of former government, as I mentioned, the mastermind of genocide from the top central government to the lower level of the institutions to the community village. We cannot forget, and we cannot let it happen again. The strong message here, according to the people who presented, we picked the message of hope and resilience, the solidarity, the conciliation, and even the forgiveness, preserving the memories towards the healing process. I want here again to recognize, I'm sorry I didn't capture the name, the best MC. The MC, he took the time to share and open with us the whole world, the true reality of the 1997 genocide. You captured the true message from the discussions and the texts and the statements provided by the kids. I really recognize your perception and understanding about the journey of fighting genocide ideology and all forms of untrue story of our country, Rwanda. Before I convey the message of the day, I'm grateful to address the message of comfort and unity for KWIBUKA29 with warm greetings from our Excellency Ambassador Mathilde, who would wish to be with us today at this critical moment. It's a privilege to join today as we gather. It's time to reflect and pay tribute to victims of 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, which claims over 1 million of Tutsi. It's time to reflect on the stories and memories of our loved ones. In such difficult times of commemoration, people get together like today, backing each other, and share optimism to reverse the hopelessness. Again, we thank you, the whole team of organizers of the event, for your tireless efforts to make this important KWIBUKA29 event happen. All friends of Rwanda here, to whom we are together today, I thank you very much for your support. The mourning period goes on for 100 days, from April 7th to July 3rd, with the Liberation Day of our country, which is July 1st. As we know, within 100 days, Tutsi were totally killed, slaughtered, humiliated, raped, and some of them were infected HIV. Others were tortured, butchered, and massacred across the whole corners of the country. The belongings of survivors were looted. Their houses were burned and destroyed completely. And they started from the scratch. With simple calculations, if you calculate over 1 million within 100 days, or in the span of 3 months, 10 Tutsi were killed within 1 day. 10,000, sorry. And 500, or around 500, within 1 hour, were killed. And 8 Tutsi were killed in 60 seconds. This was very tragic and horrible. This is the time to reflect on history that take the lead to the genocide against the Tutsi and pay particular attention to the mistake made, so that the country and the world can draw lessons to prevent the repetition of genocide. In our hearts, we want that it is never happen again. These are not easy discussions, particularly for survivors who did not choose to be survivors, but they are today. For them, commemoration is both extremely necessary but also deeply frustrating. We continue to remember our loved one, educate ourselves about our history, fight the genocide ideology, and sustain the progress made. As we honor the victim and embrace the survivors, we must commit to keeping alive the promise of never again and never forget. This ceremony of remembering genocide against the Tutsi is notably important in the history of our country. It is time to support the survivors in a unique and distinctive way. It's time to encourage, restore, and rebuild our unit by accepting lessons with power from those who stopped the genocide. Dear friends, after the extreme criminality and atrocities of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in 1994, some scholars have rigorously identified the stage of genocide planning, which are around 10 stages. Today, as Emmanuel mentioned, I want to emphasize on the stage, the last stage, which is denial or revisionism, which is really currently trending in various forms of dictatorship to saturate denial, to distort the history and tarnish the image of our country. At this point, the denial was all present in Rwanda, with the hate speeches through all government media and newspapers. And the international organization turned blind eye. In this aspect of Rwanda, if we're unable to observe the signs and prevent the permanent, we can still help to heal the wounds of history by fighting together this last stage that is now unfortunately happening on our watch and on our observation. When you speak about the criminals and the deniers, we should all fight it once and for all, not to give radical and extremists any second chance at the time our future. When we fail to perfectly address this last step, denial radical groups are formed with mission to dominate and even to exterminate. Dear friends, we are in the center of fights against genocide, ideology, and denial. Today, even in the face of documented history with evidence and facts, there are still those who continue to preach animosity and segregation, propagating the false narratives about the genocide against the Tutsi and reversing the reality of our history. At a time when Rwandans are busy rebuilding the nation, some of those who arranged and committed the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi continue to deny, distort the truth about what happened. We strongly need to advocate legally to criminalize those deniers who twist the true story of our country. Genocide denial is a dangerous and deliberate attempt to block the truth. We must fight the division ideologies because they are easily passed on from generation to generation. We must fight denial because that is how history repeats itself. Allow me to quote the statement made by His Excellency President Paul Kagame during the KWIBUKA29 on April 7th. I quote, "Rwanda's youth are privileged to have a country to call home, and which embraces everyone, all of them. We need to encourage young Rwandans to learn about our past, so that can live with the historical clarity, but also with a sense of responsibility and accountability. That's the essence of KWIBUKA. End of quote. We all of us pass on our strong thanks to Rwanda Patriotic Front and His Excellency President Paul Kagame, who stopped the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The journey of resilience started right away after stopping the 1994 genocide. And the choice was made to admit the unity and reconciliation, rebuilding the country and restoring the resilience. Towards closing our message of today, allow me again to quote the message of our President, Paul Kagame. He said again, "Nobody chose to be what tribe, race, ethnic group. There are many things we choose to be. You can choose your religion, but you don't choose to be the person to be targeted. Even those who targeted them have not chosen to belong to the ethnic group. It's very clearly that the wounds are still deep. But Rwandans decide to refuse to be defined by this tragic history. And they have managed to turn the page and move forward from grieving, from crying. And people have decided to live on. People have been ready and willing to do the most difficult things. They have decided to forgive, but we can't forget." End of quote. As we say, never again, from one generation to the next generation, nagira ngo mbashimire iyi message ya Ambassador Matilde yaduhaye kubagezaho, ariko nagira ngo nongere ko kuri iyi message wenda ikintu kimwe MC yaza kudufasha capturing short summary kugira ngo message twese tugereho. Dufite ibibazo byinshi ku isi, muzibera muri Ukraine, muzi byabaye muri Syria, muzi aho Sudan generals bari muri government bamaze iminsi basubiranamo, muzi Ethiopia aho Julia n'abandi bo mu bwoko bumwe na government bicana hagati yabo. South Sudan no political stability iracyari yayindi. Turavuga never again, ariko tugaruke noneho ku baturanyi bacu DRC, Eastern Congo, North Kivu, South Kivu. Kubera amateka duhuriyeho n'Abanyafurika, abantu bavuga Ikinyarwanda b'Abanyekongo bisanze bari muri Kongo, ndetse bamwe b'Abatutsi muri iyi minsi kuva mu myaka irenze 20 bicwa kubera icyo bari cyo. Iyo uhereye kuri Berlin Conference aho habayeho demarcation boundaries of countries of Africa, igice kinini cyo muri East Province, North Kivu and South Kivu kisanze kiri muri Congo. Abayobozi b'igihugu cya Congo kuri uyu munsi bo bumva ko abo bantu bavuga Ikinyarwanda atari Abanyekongo, ahubwo bakwiye gusanga igihugu cy'u Rwanda kivuga Ikinyarwanda. Ariko se bakibaza bati nubwo twahunga nk'Abanyekongo tukagira u Rwanda, ubutaka bwacu turabusigira nde ko ari bwo bwacu? So abantu rero bajya basharinga amakuru. Igihugu cyacu ntabwo gifasha M23 nk'uko bivugwa, ahubwo isi irabireba ko abantu bicwa, Abanyamurenge n'abandi bakomoka bamaze imyaka irenga 100, ariko kubera ko bavuga ikirimi cy'Ikinyarwanda cyenda gusa n'Ikinyarwanda cyacu, bakadushyiraho ishusho ya M23 irwana iharanira uburenganzira bw'abavuga Ikinyarwanda b'Abanyekongo baba muri Kongo. Iyo niyo shusho ihari, ariko dukwiye ko tuvuga neba again nabo tubavugire bo kuza kwicwa, tubavugire bo kwicwa tureba. Iyo ugiye mu mateka y'igice kinini cyagiye muri Kongo, mu by'ukuri cyagifitanye isano n'u Rwanda. Iyo murebye amazina, kamere mu majyepfo aho twita Bukavu, hari ikibuga cyitwa Kavumu. Uvuye Kamuvumu ukomeza ukajya ahitwa Muresi, ukajya Karongi, tugera ahitwa za Mushwesho. Ayo ni amazina y'Ikinyarwanda. Ugiye mu majyaruguru za Masisi, Sake, Rucuru n'ahandi. So aya ni amazina agaragaza ishusho y'uko buriya butaka bwagiye mu by'ukuri, ariko bufite isano n'igihugu cy'u Rwanda. So nagira ngo tubimenye, dufite FDR ni Abanyarwanda basize bishe, bakoze ibara, bari muri Exfar n'interahamwe, bageze muri Kongo UN Charter Convention iyo urenze kuri border y'igihugu ufite intwaro bizihereza igihugu ugezemo ubuhungiro, ariko siko byagenze. Barakomeje binjira n'intwaro zabo, amasasu, baratraininga, bigisha uburyo bwo kugaruka mu gihugu no kwica survivors no kudestabilize igihugu. So ariko iyo tuvuga militia groups ziri muri Congo, havugwa cyane nkeya, ariko hari zirenga 100 zirwanya igihugu, ariko izivugwa cyane havugwamo M23 kubera ko ari abanyekongo bavuga ikinyarwanda, baharanira uburenganzira bw'ababyeyi babo n'abandi babakomokaho. So muhaguruke rero aho bishoboka nabo mujye mubavugira, ejo tutazabona genocide yongeye kugaruka hafi y'u Rwanda, kandi twaremeje kurwanya genocide aho yaba iri ku isi hose. Murakoze.
Thank you. Just to briefly summarize the end of the message, he just told us that as we speak of never again, we need to look at the world we live in and the different challenges that we see. We see what is happening in Ukraine. We see what is happening in Sudan. We know what's been happening in South Sudan, in Syria. It is important that we commit to not just say never again, but to also stand and represent it. Most importantly, he mentioned the instability that is in Eastern Congo, DRC, our neighbor, caused by numerous militia groups, but most importantly, those who are victimized by it are mostly Congolese countrymen, Congolese citizens who speak Kinyarwanda, who speak languages that are related to Kinyarwanda. And a lot of this injustice that they're facing is because their fellow Congolese countrymen tell them to go back to their country despite the fact that they've lived in the Congo for over 100 years. And so if we're speaking about never again, we need to stand up and speak for those who may not be able to speak for themselves. We need to stand up and speak for those who may not be heard from where they are. We need to make sure that truly the world understands that never again is just that. It should never happen again. So that was the ending message. It is important for us to stand up and not be confused by the different news that are shared left and right, different things that are said. You will hear people attributing the problems that the Congo are facing to Rwanda because the M23 group that's fighting for the rights of Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese is oftentimes attributed to Rwanda, but that is not the truth. The truth of the matter is people who have rights, who are innocent, who belong to a country are being marginalized and killed day in and day out. So we must speak out to make sure that genocide doesn't happen again, whether in Rwanda, in the Congo, or anywhere else in the world. So with that, we're coming to the end of our program today. Just a quick reminder, as we said, when we speak of commemoration and remembrance, we're not only speaking about this day, we're not only speaking about the 100 days between April and July. It should be a year-round activity. Every day, we should always be reflecting and asking ourselves, how can we better make sure that our country is sustained in peace, in development, in unity, and in progress. Most importantly, we have to be intentional. Those who deny, those who revise, those who committed the genocide and would want to see the ideology come back are intentional in their action. None of what they do is accidental. Because of that, it is important for us to stand up and be intentional in our action, in our fight back against the genocide ideology. It is not your neighbor's responsibility to speak out. It is not something you will do tomorrow or the day after. It is important that we stand up in this moment, in this place, and conclude. So thank you so much for being with us. I will ask the president of the Rwandan community, Ms. KWIBUKA29, to step forward and say a quick word before we end.
Thank you so much. I want to say thank you so much, our host, our community, the participants, the children were amazing. I really cannot thank you enough for the support. Our partners, Rca-Dmv. I don't know if I've introduced my team, the DMV committee. I have our commissioner for gender, commissioner for trade, Shibarujeje Akiza. Barbara must be somewhere. She's our commissioner for gender. Where's Barbara? Right there. She's always running around. I have our Secretary General, Leon. Please stand up, because you live in Richmond, so many people don't know you. And then we have our Commissioner for Knowledge Transfer, Ale Shuti. This is your team, basically, that put it together. The KWIBUKA team, I think my brother Emmanuel introduced the DMV KWIBUKA. But I wanted to take this moment, I wasn't supposed to say anything, but I wanted to remind everyone that we have KWIBUKA on the 6th of July, and you're all invited. Please invite with your families, but most importantly with friends of Rwanda. Thank you again, Pastor Claude, First Lady Chantal, Claudine. Thank you so much, Pastor Claudine, Pastor Paul, everybody. Thank you. It's our community leadership, of course, involves not only our leadership but our church, right? So we really truly appreciate you for making this day, for hosting us and making this day, possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kathy. So tugeze ku musozo wa gahunda yacu rero, turagira ngo tubasabe bansabye kubibutsa ko buji twakoresheje mwazisiga ku ntebe cyangwa hafi kugira ngo baze kuzikusanya dukomeza kuzikoresha. Hanyuma bateguye amafunguro n'ibyo kunywa tubisangire mbere yuko dusoza. So turabashimiye cyane, mwakoze kubana natwe, mwakoze kwifatanya natwe no kuba hafi yacu muri iki gihe. Children, again, thank you so much for your participation and your presence. So this is the end. Have a good evening, and we thank you all.